Hey everybody, welcome to the video. So we're breaking down the second race of the doubleheader this weekend over at Pocono Raceway. This time it's going to be on Sunday, June 27th at around 3:45 p.m. Eastern. This time it's Explore the Pocono Mountains 350, and usually Pocono isn't the most exciting track in the world, but I thought yesterday's race, or today's race, whenever you're watching this video, was actually not that bad. We have lots of cautions, we had lots of restarts, we had guys on different strategies, and once again it came down to a Hendrick car. This time it wasn't Kyle Larson though. It felt like he was going for his 100th win in a row, but a flat tire ruined his day on the very last lap, and his teammate Alex Bowman ended up stealing the win there. And I don't want to say stealing the win because the guy put himself in a good position and he was leading until Kyle Larson, I passed him with a few laps left. But once again, man, Hendrick continues to run the show. Byron was good. Obviously, Larson was good until he had the flat tire. Bowman won the race. Chase Elliott kind of got screwed early on with Ryan Preece hitting him, but even with the contact that he had, he still put together a halfway decent finish. So once again, it's Hendrick's road and we're living in it. Kyle Busch had another decent run. So yeah, I thought yesterday's race wasn't too bad. I'm looking forward to another good one here. I think the top 20 inversion is going to make things a little bit interesting, so that's something to look forward to. And one thing I want to mention, if you guys notice that my setup here looks a little bit different, it's because I'm at my friend Andrew's house. You guys might know him by DFS by the numbers. He does MMA content over on YouTube. I'll plug his channel a little bit because he was nice enough to let me use his studio. But we were here for a birthday party for him. He just turned 23, so we played some blackjack, watched some NASCAR, and watched the fights, and it was a pretty good time. So I want to thank him for letting me use his setup here. So that's why you get the microphone here in the different chair. Just want to throw that out there if things look a little bit different to you guys, and hopefully this microphone sounds just fine. But yeah, before we get into it, make sure you guys leave a like on the video. The more you guys interact with the content, leaving likes, leaving comments, all that fun stuff, it's going to help the video out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you don't follow me over on social media, I'm at Pennell16 on Twitter, cpen16 over on IG. And if you want to help support the channel over on Patreon by becoming an official Patreon member, you can do so by finding the link down in the description below. And since it's the beginning of the month, I can run a little bit of a deal here. If you do sign up, you can get this race free as long as you continue your patronage through July. So I can hit that refund button for you since Patreon charges you when you sign up and on the first of the month. So if you want to, now is pretty much the best time to do so. But I think that's it for the plugs for the most part. So without further ado, let's dive into today's video. And as per usual, I do need to mention a few things before we get started. So number one, the live stream on Sunday. I'm thinking around either 1 or 2 p.m. Eastern. You guys can let me know a preference down below, but probably going to end up being one of those 2 times. And I think the live stream is going to be pretty important because I'm recording this video as soon as the race ended, so I haven't really had much time to digest prices or where these guys are starting, so we're going through this together, so it's going to be some pretty raw thoughts for me. So if you want to hang out in the live stream, I think we're going to have some more up-to-date thoughts on my opinions of how we're going to attack this race. And number 2, if you guys want to join the DraftKings contest, all you got to do is comment your DK username down below, and you can get entered. And it's just a fun way for me to interact with you guys, see what kind of lineups you're building and compete against you, and you can win some money and a free shout-out on the channel. So as I always do, I want to shout out the winners that we had on Saturday, which I'll throw on the screen right about now. In first place, we had Natalie SEV with 265 points, absolutely killing all of us by 15 points. Barbecue King coming in second, K Toga in third, and then right on the bubble, we had Jordy Sproles, the Icon 3, Pat's Dynasty 1287, who I know is in my Discord, C Davis, a bunch of numbers in seventh. Tied in seventh, we had Ruben. Coming in ninth, we had Shady, who's been an absolute heater in DraftKings recently, so he got into the top 10. Then KK Ami rounding out the top 10 here. So shout out to all the winners, especially the people in the top 3. Natalie took home around $100 some, Barbecue King close to that, then over 50 for K Toga. So if you want to get entered, just comment your DK username down below, and I'll be more than happy to send you that invite. But I think that's kind of it for the housekeeping. So without further ado, let's get into the preview of this race. You mentioned this is the Explore the Pocono Mountains 350. We're at the same exact track as yesterday, so nothing really changes here strategy-wise, although I will say a lot of good cars because they finished well. They got the top 20 invert. So how the lineup was, slated, and I realize there's some fuzzy stuff going on the screen here, but again, I'm not at my home studio, so might have to bear with that a little bit. Hopefully it doesn't get too bad. But anyway, how they finish from 1st to 20th, they're going to invert that. So the guy that finished 20th, he's going to start first. The guy that finished first, which is Alex Bowman, he's going to start 20th. So he now becomes an excellent place differential play. Then how they finish 21st through 40th, that's exactly how they're going to start. So I think place differential is going to be pretty much the most important thing here because all the good cars are starting further back. And then the guys that finish around 15th, 20th place, they're starting at the front, they're probably going to fall back. So for the most part, place differential is going to be super important for this race. We only have 140 laps, 10 more laps than we had yesterday, and there's still less than 100 Dominator points available to us. So for the most part, place differential is going to be the way we're going to attack this race, and we are going to see some major chalk. Like Bowman's not that expensive. You can easily fit in Byron. So there's going to be a lot of chalk in this slate, so we're going to have to navigate our way through it and find some pivots so we can try to take down some tournaments. Also, if we're looking at similar tracks, if you missed yesterday's video, I pretty much said the similar tracks for Pocono are Indy, Michigan, and Auto Club, all big horsepower tracks over 2 miles in length. Since we haven't ran any other track this year other than the Pocono race that we just had, mainly we can just look at how they ran at Pocono and how they ran in the 550 horsepower package this year, and we kind of saw the guys that were good in the 550 package this year ran well on Pocono on Saturday. So like Larson was good, Kyle Busch was good, William Byron was good, pretty much the 3 best drivers in this package. So positions this time, and they have different price tags on DraftKings. So that's kind of it for the strategy for the most part. Nothing too crazy here. Kind of looking at this as a place differential race and guys that can finish well. So with that being said, let's get into the driver by driver breakdown portion of this video. Actually, before I do that, I did want to kind of recap what we saw in the first Pocono race, because I'm not going to have these exact numbers on the main spreadsheet here. So just looking at how these guys finished and how they ran for the most part, the main dominators we had, in case you happen to miss the race. Top 5 finishers, if you would have just pretended that Larson never wrecked, he would have finished first. All these guys would have been bumped down one. But I mean, that's not what happened. He still finished in the top 10. But Alex Bowman ended up winning the race. Kyle Busch in second, Byron in third, Hamlin in fourth, Blaney in fifth. Not really any big surprises there. I mean, the drivers you would have thought done well pretty much did well, and Larson was on his way to win the race without the tire issue. Looking at the best running position during the race, sort of bad that we had Kyle Larson in first, Kyle Busch in second, William Byron in third. And the funny thing is, in the live stream, I was saying, people were asking me who I thought was going to win the race, and I said probably the 3 best drivers in the 550 package this season. And so far this season, it's been Larson, Kyle Busch, and Byron. All 3 of those guys had the 3 best running positions. If we sort this by driver rating, pretty much the same guys, just a different order. Kyle Busch in first, Larson second, William Byron in third. If you're looking at how they scored DraftKings points-wise, which is the most important thing for DFS purposes, Bowman was in first there with the win, Blaney in second with all that place differential upside, grabbing the top 5 finish. Busch in second, even though he started in 5th place, Hamlin in 4th in DraftKings points, and then Chase Elliott in 5th. Even though he didn't have the greatest day, he still finished 12th, and when you're starting 29th, still a pretty good day. Although at $11,000, you were wanting a little bit more, but again, Ryan Preece kind of screwed him at the beginning of the race. The first couple laps, too, he had some damage done to him, but just kind of the recap, if you happen to miss that, you can pause this, take a look at it. Fast lap leaders, Kyle Larson was in first, Kyle Busch in second, William Byron in third. Like the 3 exact drivers that I was expecting to have the best days pretty much had the best days. So it was nice that of how they've ran the 550 package this season kind of just carried over to that. Laps led, Kyle Busch was in first, Logano in second, Alex Bowman in third. So again, we didn't see any huge surprises. I thought maybe Logano ran a little bit better than I think most would have thought he would have, especially me. I wasn't really high on Logano, but he wasn't that bad in the race. But that's kind of it for just a quick recap. So we'll just go driver by driver here. We'll start up top with Kyle Larson. Super expensive, $12,800. And I do want to mention he will be starting from the rear. He is going to a backup. And if you want the full list on that, we have Ryan Preece, Ross Chastain, Anthony Alfredo. We also have Ryan Newman, Cole Custer, Corey LaJoie all going to the rear. And that doesn't really affect anything too much for me. I still think Kyle Larson's an excellent play. The problem is he won't have any track position to work with early on, but he pretty much had the best car in the field yesterday. And I remember 2 laps in, he had over a second lead over Joey Logano. Like, he should have another good car once again, even though he is going to the rear and going to a backup. But I assume he'll be fine. Although, if he won the race and he started 20 without issue, like if he didn't have that flat tire, I'd probably be like close to 100% Larson. Like it would make no sense not to. I still think he's a tremendous play, but I'm probably gonna be a little bit lower on him just because he's going to the rear. But either way, he's still pretty much one of the best plays. The problem is he's nearly $13,000, and I don't think he's like a lock or anything, because Kyle Busch is starting 19th and he does not have to go to the rear, and he looked awesome on Saturday. Hamlin looked really good. You get place differential. Alex Bowman, William Byron, Ryan Blaney. There's a ton of chalk here. I don't think you have to play Larson. I honestly don't think I'm going to get there in cash games. I have not tried to build a cash game lineup, but I'm assuming we don't have many great plays down low. We have Corey LaJoie, Ryan Newman. So we have a couple guys we can make it work with. For Kyle Larson, again, I just put these numbers in. I'm just looking at the pricing, so kind of going through this together. But I don't think you have to play Larson. At that price point, starting 12th. If you're starting 20th, it's a different story. But going to the backup car, going to the rear, I don't think he's a must play, but obviously, I mean, he's been the best driver in this package this season. Would not surprise me if he won this race. I'd have to check the Vegas odds, but he's probably the favorite here. So not saying to fade Larson by any means, but I think with him going to the rear and all that makes him a slightly worse play than he would have been if he hadn't, but I still like him. I'm definitely going to have exposure to him. Just don't think he's a cash game lock. Kyle Busch, $11,000. He's starting in 19th. As of right now, I find myself preferring Kyle Busch over Kyle Larson. He's $1,800 cheaper. He's starting 7 spots further back. He doesn't have to go to the back to start the race, and his car was awesome yesterday. He led a lot of laps, had some fast laps, and finished in second place. I mean, he was right there for the win, so I'm definitely a big fan of Kyle Busch here. He is awesome at Pocono. Him and Denny Hamlin have been pretty much the best drivers here recently with Kevin Harvick. But looking at his numbers, we now added the last race in here, so those numbers are fresh. But he's got 2 wins, second best driver rating. I mean, the numbers are great for Kyle Busch. He's been the best lap leader here, the best fast lap guy. I mean, I see no reason not to want to play Kyle Busch. If you got the money for him, probably my favorite play on the slate as of right now, just raw points wise. Martin Truex Jr., $10,800. He's starting in third. I had no interest in Truex on Saturday and didn't end up doing that well. He's going to be starting third in this race, which means he's finished in the late teens. Trying to do the math in my head. Yeah, he finished 18th in that race. Like, he's been okay at Pocono. He does have a win here back in 2018, but starting third, I mean, just give me all the place differential, guys. I virtually have no interest in Truex here. I think he's actually a very strong fade candidate. Didn't like him at 10,700 starting in 15th yesterday, so I see no reason really not to want to play him here starting in third place. I think I said that wrong. I see no reason to want to play him starting in third place here. I think he's a very strong fade candidate. Denny Hamlin, $10,500. Probably my second favorite play in this range. He's nearly $2,000. He's over $2,000 cheaper than Kyle Larson. Starting 5 spots further back. Awesome at Pocono. Finished 4th in this race. Past 3 races, he's finished 4th, 1st, and 2nd. And I think going back to the 2019 race, he finished in 1st there. So he hasn't finished worse than 4th in over 4 races. He has 2 wins here, 4 top 5s the past 6 races, the best driver rating, the best running position, the best average finish. I see no reason not to like Denny Hamlin. He wasn't quite as good as Byron Larson or Busch, but he was right there with him, and I think he's definitely an excellent play. Chase Elliott, $10,200. He's starting in 9th. I believe Bob said he's not going to the rear, so I guess that's a boost for him. But the only reason I'm playing Elliott here is to try to gain some leverage, because to be honest, I'd rather play all the guys starting further back than him. Like William Byron, Alex Bowman, Ryan Blaney, all grade out better for me than Chase Elliott. So the only reason you're going to play him if you are looking for some leverage, he's been fast in this package this season, and all the Hendrick cars are always going to be in play, and they're going to fix that car up, so it should be a little bit faster, but I'd only play him in tournaments. I'd just rather get the place differential guys, in my opinion. Then Kevin Harvick, $10,000. He's starting in 13th. Once again, he gets a good finish, but he's not dominating like we need him to at his price point. Starting 13th at 10,000, he's kind of in the same boat as Chase Elliott, where I think he's going to be a good real life, like he's going to get a good real life finish, have a good real life race, but for DFS purposes, why not just play Logano, who looked a little bit better yesterday? Why not play Ryan Blaney? Why not play William Byron? Like, I'd just rather get to those guys, so I don't see myself landing on too much Kevin Harvick. And I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm kind of blitzing through these guys, but I want to get this video up as soon as possible, and we'll discuss more in the live stream tomorrow, so just kind of trying to make this a condensed version than we usually do. Going down to the 9K range, we have Joey Logano, $9,700. He's starting in 14th. Pocono hasn't exactly been his greatest track in the world, but he didn't look bad yesterday. He led some laps, finished in 7th place, starting in 14th. I wouldn't say I like him over some of the guys that are cheaper than him, but probably get there in cash games. He's a fine tournament pivot off of some of those chalkier drivers, but I'm going to have limited exposure to Joey Logano. If I'm playing 3 max, probably not getting Joey in. If I'm playing 20 max, I might get a couple. 150 max, sure, but if I'm playing 3 max or cash games or single entries, don't see myself landing on Joey. Keselowski, $9,500, starting in 11th, probably going to finish right around there. I mean, he just really hasn't been the same ever since that Roush Fenway news came out that he was going to be with them next season, even though that's not completely confirmed. We were talking about that on the live stream, but he just kind of hasn't had a fast car. I mean, Logano and Blaney looked much better than him yesterday. Still had a decent finish, and he started, 18th in that race, so it's like he had some place differential. He didn't do terrible on DK, but starting 11th place, he just doesn't have the upside I'm looking for compared to the other guys starting close to him. Ryan Blaney, $9,200. He's starting in 16th. He finally had a solid race. He looked good there, starting in 16th place, pretty cheap at $9,200. Definitely think he's one of the better plays on the slate. Think he's viable in cash games. Think you can play him in tournaments. You name a contest, you can play him in it. He's finishing 5th in that race, which is actually his best Pocono finish ever since 2018. I think you can make a case for him in any format, so I'm definitely going to have quite a bit of Ryan Blaney exposure at that low price point. William Byron, $9,000. He's starting in 18th. William Byron might be my favorite play in the slate, to be honest. Like, of these expensive drivers, yeah, you can make a case for Bowman right there. But with how good William Byron's been in this package this season, pretty much the second best driver, only behind Kyle Larson, second in fast laps, third in laps led, only behind Brett Keselowski and Kyle Larson in that category. I know it's crazy as that sounds. Brett Keselowski is actually second to lap sled in this package, but William Byron, man, a Hendrick car. He was right there all day, kind of did what he always does, riding in the top 5 all day, contended for the win at the end, had a fast car, was pretty much top 3 in all those stats that we were looking at just before we got to the driver-by-driver breakdown portion of this video. Starting in 18th place, he finished 3rd. His numbers at Pocono are really good. Same average finish of Kevin Harvick, and only behind Denny Hamlin. 49.5 DraftKings points per race, 2 top 5s. Most recent races for him, he's finished 3rd, 7th, 14th, 4th, 9th, and 6th. William Byron might just be my highest owned driver. Okay, I'll take that back. I'll probably have the most of William Byron of these expensive drivers of Alex Bowman, but William Byron and Alex Bowman are going to make a large portion of my lineups. Like, those are 2 excellent plays. But love William Byron. This is a very good track for him. He's been killer in the 550 package this season, so no reason not to like him here. Dropping down to the 8K range, we have Alex Bowman, $8,700. He won the race, so we got inverted to 20th. He might end up being, I'm not sure if he'll be the highest owned play on the slate, but he's definitely going to be top 3, top 5 in ownership. And I'm all about Alex Bowman. You should be starting your cash games with William Byron and Alex Bowman on DraftKings tomorrow. Then you can take your pick of an expensive driver. And with guys like Ryan Newman, Corey LaJoie down this low, you should be able to make that work quite easily. And while his numbers aren't great at Pocono, I mean, the Hendrick cars have been just a step above the entire field. I know I saw a tweet of NASCAR telling all the Chevys not to bring that Bondo. And I think some people were thinking that was going to slow them down a little bit. No, they were still fast. So love Alex Bowman. I don't think he's going to win again, but he should definitely be a top 10, top 5 in this race. So I'm going to be having plenty of Alex Bowman. Kurt Busch, $8,500. He's starting in 15th. He kind of surprised me. I wasn't a big fan of Kurt Busch heading into this race, but kind of made me look a little bit dumb here, finishing in 6th place now that he's starting in 15th. I just didn't like where he was starting, and even then he started in 8th place, so finishing in 6th wasn't exactly the greatest thing in the world at around $8,000, but he had another good finish. That's 2 weeks in a row, and starting 15th here, there's some place differential upside. I'm obviously going to prefer going with Byron and Bowman here, but if you just want some leverage, Kurt Busch should definitely be an afterthought because he's right beside Blaney, Byron, Bowman, so I definitely don't hate getting to Kurt Busch in tournaments, but I'm definitely preferring the other guys in cash games because Kurt Busch has definitely been a bit of a mess in this package so far this year. A lot of that can be due to bad luck, but still think he's a fine play starting 15th. Christopher Bell, $8,300. He's starting in 4th. I think this is a fine fade, and I'll kind of leave it at that because I'm trying to go a little bit quick here, but I don't see any reason I want to play Christopher Bell. Matt DiBenedetto, $8,100. He's starting in 32nd. Had some issues. A lot of guys had issues in this race, but last year he finished 6th and 13th at Pocono. He hasn't been terrible in this package this season, finishing around 15th, 16th place. Starting in 32nd, yes, he's $1,000 more expensive than he was in the last race, but I mean, I'll take the place differential all day here. Definitely think you can play Matty D. Same goes for Chase Briscoe, $7,900. He's starting in 24th. Thought we'd get a little bit more out of Chase Briscoe here. I definitely prefer Chastain and MDB over Briscoe, but if you're looking for the pivot between those 2 chalkier drivers, he's fine because he has top 20 upside, but I think he could end up finishing close to where he starts. Ross Chastain, $7,700, starting in 33rd. He had good track position to start the race yesterday, but ended up having an issue. They had a soft part of his car, kind of killed his day because he just didn't have that speed anymore. Starting in 33rd, gave me an excellent place differential play. Besides yesterday's race, the guy's actually been running very well recently. Usually a top 15 contender, so we have plenty of place differential upside here. Could realistically gain close to 15 to 20 spots, so have plenty of interest in Chastain at $7,700. Chris Buescher, $7,400. That is a fine fade for me. See no reason to want to play Chris Buescher. Daniel Suarez, $7,100. Ended up finishing 13th, which is 1 spot further ahead than where he started yesterday. I thought he was a good tournament play down low. Didn't kill it, but starting at 13th is pretty good for a guy that was that cheap. And some of those other guys sucked, like Cole Custer wrecked, and I can't even remember everybody. Ryan Newman wrecked. So, I mean, Daniel Suarez was not a bad play down low. Now that he's starting in 8th place, that's probably going to be it for me. Don't think I could see myself playing Suarez above 7K. Going down the 6K range, we have Tyler Reddick starting in 10th place. Probably not going to play Reddick. I think he's kind of starting where his upside is. Yes, he could always be a top 8 guy, but I'm only getting to Reddick in 150 max. Wouldn't play him in 20 max. Would only get there in 150 max, and I'll have limited exposure. Cole Custer, $1,600. He's starting in 38th. Ended up hitting the wall early on. Kind of killed your day if you had a lot of Cole Custer. I know I had a decent chunk. I mean, he was just so cheap, starting pretty far in the back. But if you like Cole Custer at $6,300 starting in 28th, you should like him for only $500 more starting in 38th. There's pretty much zero downside here unless he wrecks again, which is possible. I mean, we know those Stewart-Haas cars have been definitely hard to trust this season, but starting in 38th, you're going to have to play some Cole Custer. You can play him in cash games, play him in tournaments. Austin Dillon, $6,600, just missed the pull in the inversion. If he would have got one more spot, he would have been on the pole, but just missed it, so you can still play him as a place differential guy, but Pocono's not that great of a track for him. He's kind of starting right around where his averages are at Pocono. Now, this season in this package, I know Pocono is a bit of a unique track with the tricky triangle thing going on. It's not really like any other track, but he's usually good in this package, but typically at the 1.5. So I don't have a ton of interest in Austin Dillon here. I like the price point, and there is a little bit of upside with this place differential. There's a little bit of place differential upside here starting in 21st, but I'll probably have limited exposure. Eric Almirola, Bubba Wallace, Ricky Stenhouse, I think those are all fine fades. Don't see a reason I want to play any of those guys. If you told me you had 0% of those three, I would say you're probably doing a smart thing. I mean, I don't want to waste, I don't want to play them just a hedge and waste exposure. I have a hard time seeing them have a chance to make the optimal lineup on Sunday's race. Corey LaJoy, $5,900 starting in 36. Yeah, he makes a ton of sense. He had an issue on Saturday. Things happen. Before that, he was running really well. I think we have top 25 upside here out of LaJoy. He's below 6K. I think you can fire him up in all formats. Justin Haley, 27th. Actually had a decent race. Started 34th on Saturday. Ended up finishing inside the top 30. Problem is now he's kind of starting where his upside is, so don't really see myself playing any Justin Haley. Eric Jones, $5,700 starting in 22nd. His numbers at Pocono in the past in the JGR car were fantastic. Now in the 43 car, he kind of finished where he started. And that's what he's doing once again. He's starting 22nd, probably going to finish around. See, I thought he might have some top 15, top 18 upside, but not really thinking so. He kind of ran how he usually does in this package, which is around that 20th to 25th place. Jones, while he is very cheap, I think you can play him. I liked him at $6,400 yesterday. At $5,700, he still can crack the top 20. So I will have some Eric Jones. This is a very good track for him. Problem is he is in an RPM car, which we know is absolute junk. Not like absolute junk, but compared to what he used to be in, definitely not the kind of car that he is used to at this track. Ryan Newman, $5,500 starting in 37th. I apologize, guys. I was very heavy on Ryan Newman. He was just so cheap, but he ended up wrecking and killing our day. But starting in 37th, it's not the same where he was starting in 19th yesterday. Now that he's starting in 37th, I mean, it's kind of hard to fade. It's going to be very hard for him to not be the optimal lineup. Starting in 37th at $5,500, he is priced below LaJoy. He is priced below Justin Haley, and not too far off of guys like Alfredo and James Davison. So I will go right back to the well. It kind of reminds me last year where Eric Jones, he was very chalky. He was too cheap. I played him a lot, starting around 19th place. He ended up wrecking. I went even heavier the next day. I went 85, 90% Eric Jones. End up being in the optimal lineup. So have a short memory here. Ryan Newman's not a guarantee to wreck. If he wrecks, sure, you take the L, but if he doesn't, he's probably going to gain you close to 15 to 20 spots, which at $5,500 will make him in the optimal lineup. So I have plenty of interest there. Michael McDowell, no thank you, starting second. Ryan Preece is a fringe play for me. Yes, he's got a little bit of top 20 upside, but he's kind of capped where his upside is. If Ryan Preece is starting around 27th, 30th place, yeah, I'm hoping for that top 25 finish, which is what he did yesterday. Problem is now he's starting right where that upside is, so I can't imagine I'll have too much Ryan Preece. Anthony Alfredo, I hate playing Pasta Man. I'm probably not going to play. I probably wouldn't have more than 5% Pasta, maybe more than 10%. Just try to differentiate down low, because you can't play 100% Newman, you can't play 100% LaJoy, so you might have to venture down there a little bit, but I would just sprinkle in the Pasta guy. Then after that, would not play any of these guys. Don't see a reason to. There's plenty of cheap plays to make this work today. Davison, I just don't see it happening. Cody Ware, McLeod, Bilicki, Smithley, Howell, Timmy Hill. I know some of these guys had good finishes, but it's just because people wrecked out yesterday, and I don't really see them working out starting in the low 20s and upper 30s. I just don't see it happening. I'd much rather play Ryan Newman. If you want to play 70% Newman, yes, it's going to feel ugly, but I'd say there's a very strong chance he makes the optimal tomorrow. As long as he doesn't wreck, I'd say he makes the optimal. But with that being said, guys, I think that'll be it for the video. So if you made it all the way through, please let me know. I realize this is a bit of a different format than usual. I kind of breezed through this. We got the different setup, so hopefully this doesn't sound too bad. But if you guys want to check me out in the live stream tomorrow, we'll have some more updated thoughts. I will be able to have all night to break down the slate. Probably won't get too much sleep. I'll have my article written down, projections, all that fun stuff. So if you want to sign up over on Patreon, become a member, help me out, you can do so, and I'll have all my content posted either late tonight or early tomorrow morning, so just bear with me there. I'll probably have the GPP driver exposures up in the afternoon tomorrow. But yeah, we'll have plenty of time. We'll have the live stream tomorrow at 1 or 2 p.m. Eastern, so just stay posted for that, which I think will be pretty important, so we can get the updated thoughts. Follow me over on social media if you haven't already. If you want to join the DraftKings contest, just comment your DK username down below, and I think that's pretty much going to be it, guys. I will stop rambling. Hope you guys enjoyed your Saturday, enjoyed the race, and hopefully we can have a pretty strong race and an entertaining race today on Sunday or tomorrow, whenever you're watching this video. So I'll get out of here. See ya, and thank you to Andrew for letting me borrow his equipment for today.